So Neural Column was a vibe coding project that I started last year. And I had the idea that it was going to be this like think out loud, you've like sort of ramble and then turn those rambles into blog posts. And how could I turn like a rant in the car that goes on for 45 minutes into like a condensed blog post that succinctly shares my views and captures what I was trying to say in that long rant. It turns out that that's not a great product. It turns out that it's too easy to just like turn into slop. And in general, things have kind of pushed in the other direction against an AI intermediating all of your words. So last stream, I gave a vibe coding task to say, hey, delete this entire site and let's replace it with something that's a little bit more like just an editor from Markdown, because I wanted to create the show notes, for example, for this. And so last week, these are the show notes from last week where I was like, I used this site itself afterwards to compile and take this Markdown. And you can see that as you sort of like edit things, it updates here. And I basically typed in a big long prompt and then tabbed away. And 4 hours later, this site is basically what we got out of it. But, you know, now I've been using it. I used it also to compile all the things that I wanted to link to this today. And I have a list of gripes that I want to improve upon. So here's one thing is that I don't like the way that styles work. I have this sort of design thing where I can say, let's make the background light. And theoretically, it should work and do this. And actually it did. Oh, that worked. So, okay, this is actually working. I like the concept here where I can kind of like edit this and I can see how it's changing the post. And then what's kind of cool is that if you go to the published site, oh, that's not what I wanted. I just changed this in development mode and I went to my published site and I refreshed it and it's showing the new update, which is not what I want. I can't see the CSS. I can't really see what's going. I like the concept of being able to like talk about the design of it, but I've also had problems where it kind of decouples, where when I switch between the text and the design, like it had different styles in the preview mode in text mode than it did in design mode. Like that's not right. So the whole style thing is not the way I want it to be. The other thing is just this agent in general is very janky. It's very weird. Like actually in the two examples that I showed over here before, the diffs did apply cleanly. Copy, edit my neural column section. Let's just say that. So this is like one suggestion. So let's see how this works. But I've noticed that when I try this in the past, oftentimes it doesn't apply cleanly, or like it like replaces the entire site or something like that. In this case, it looks like it actually did a good job. But I don't like the edits. But anyway, that's kind of cool because this is actually an example of it working. But for example, like if the edit is wrong, let's say that so actually I didn't like this. Let's say I actually want to keep it very technical. Let's just say that. I don't have the ability to like edit this or give a ton of advice. Actually, this is working a little better now. I think maybe it's luck of the draw in terms of what you're getting from the model output. But like that's actually a pretty good edit. And I'm liking the fact that I can sort of undo them. That works pretty well. But I think, okay, so that goes into this idea of like, we could probably use a stronger model for this. Like this is GPT OSS 120B. And while I'm getting good rolls on this dice right now today, it's not been consistent. And I had a lot of problems when I was using this earlier. So unfortunately, like I wish I could show it failing in some sort of strong way. But in this case, I just happen to get good results. But I think let's switch to a stronger model so that it's less of a crapshoot. We're going to just get better results out of the box. In fact, we can use some of these new Kimi K3 or DeepSeek V4 Flash. Actually, let's try DeepSeek V4 Flash maybe and connect that up to this. Or maybe let's give it a model picker where we can choose. And then also I've noticed that since I had problems in the past of like applying the edits or undoing the edits or figuring out how to do that. I think we need some to investigate and strengthen the protocol between the notebook and the agent. And yeah, this overly modal, we've got text and then we've got design, and those are these two separate tabs. I kind of want it all to just be one. And I want to, if I'm talking about design, the agent should do design. And if I'm talking about text, the agent should it should just have access to both at the same time. Also, I was trying to figure out, okay, how do I bold something? And I found that, yeah, if I select it and do Control B, I get bold, and I can do Control Z and undo it. And if I just manually type that stuff, that works too, right? But if I don't know the markdown format, or if I forget some syntax, and if I don't know the built-in keyboard shortcuts, then I just want more help and guidance so that I can maybe I can pop open and get a quick help guide, or maybe there's like a little hover button over here that shows me the different keyboard shortcuts. Or maybe there's even some like buttons on. I don't know if I want this, but maybe some buttons that have like bold, italic, whatever, things like that. I did notice in the past that sometimes when I'm looking at this split and I switch between text and design, they have different styles. I'm not seeing that today. I think maybe that was a cached thing on my other computer. But in any case, we noticed that when I made those design changes, it was editing the production CSS. So we want to figure out what's going on with all that design stuff. Also, this visual design, it's okay, but it could use some work. And then also, if you look at this, when I shrink it to a mobile viewport size, when I have the agent open, the agent takes up the whole thing. That's probably not right. And if I close it, it sits here. If I have split selected already, and then I get to this side, it keeps me in split mode, but then it shows me only the edited version. And I have to switch between text and preview. It'd be nice if, as I get smaller, this split mode, it automatically transitions me into the text mode, and maybe things change around and are more suitable for a mobile agent. Right now, you get this weird experience where the agent kind of takes over. You can't see the design very easily. The split mode, if you're on it, it doesn't unselect it, but it doesn't allow you to go back. So there's just a bunch of weird stuff that I think could be better in mobile. So those are the things I'd like to do. I'm in my development directory. I have set up Pi so that it's got access to these different models. I have a bunch of these models already configured. So I can do -- model and say Kimi K3. Let's do K3 for, actually, yeah, let's start with K3 because K3 is the most capable model. You can see I've also got DeepSeek V4 Flash set up. Let's do K3 first. Oh, this is Pi, the Pi coding agent. We can tab between low, medium, high, and max. So let's do max. Why not? Okay, I'm going into the neural column. And this is a standard Pi installation. I don't have any extensions. I don't have anything. I'm keeping it completely plain for now. So let's think about how to break this down. Since K3 is the best at the coding and styling and website portions of things, this is the one that I want to do to figure out the style. First, I want you to read and deeply understand how styling works in this app. Once you're confident that you can easily handle my development requests as it pertains to styling these documents. So it's going through, it's figuring out what the CSS looks like. In the meantime, while that's going, let me start a new document, make it a lot bigger so that we can read. And I'll even get rid of this Explorer. Okay, I'm going to be working on the prompt that I want to send next. So I have a few problems with styling right now. One, sometimes I have noticed that the styles that I see in the preview are different when it's in design mode and when it's in text mode. And I'm going to do word wrap so that we can see everything. Let's please normalize this so that no matter which mode you're in, you're seeing the production style, the latest development styles for that document. Number two, I edited a style of a document that had already been published. I noticed that as I was editing style, it was also updating the published artifact, which is not what I wanted. I was hoping to be able to develop and iterate on the style and use my judgment, and only once I was happy with the result would I republish the document, and only once republished would it show the updated style that I had been developing. Let's make sure that we have these two things separated enough in the code so that publishing bakes the styles into the published document, and then further edits to the style by definition do not affect the published document. Number three, I would like to actually be able to see the style sheet and be able to manually edit it if I want to, or at the very least be able to understand the edits being proposed in the style agent. Right now, I can apply it, visually inspect, and either decide to keep or discard. I can't actually see the code that's changing in the style. I would like to be able to see and even edit this style sheet, given that the agent is already doing so. This is Kimi K3. This is the open source model. I've just given it 3 different separate problems that I have, and let's just see what it comes up with. This is near the top of that design arena. Let's see what it can do. A lot of thinking. I absolutely love that with these open models, they don't hide the thinking from you. You see exactly where they're going with things. So if this starts going off track when I'm like in the flow of things, if I'm using the coding agent directly, which I'm using less and less these days, a lot of what I do is like building a product requirement and then like tossing it over to the agent. But when I'm actually coding with the agent itself, it's so great to be able to look and see what it's doing and potentially stop it and say, oh, no, I want you to go this other direction. Or, oh, no, or yes, like that's a great point. Go and like zoom in on that, It's so nice with these open models to be able to just do this. We're still going through, it's doing a lot of thinking, which is cool. It's actually thinking about each of these problems in turn. which is cool. It's very instructive to be able to see what the thinking process is. So it's going through and starting with problem one, currently, like stating the current situation, coming up with, okay, this is the fix, but wait, and you'll see these sort of specific turns of phrase where in the thinking you can see that it's gone off on some path and it's thinking, but wait. And oftentimes it'll go on a different path, but sometimes it'll just say, but wait, have I considered this? Yes. Like, and often it'll be confirming what it's already thinking. Another one is, And I don't personally know if they're explicitly training these pivot tokens. Some people call these pivot tokens, where like the entire thinking kind of turns on this, Like if you're going in a wrong direction and you go, actually, and you get on the right direction, that can be the thing that takes a trajectory from something that would fail to something that passed. So what this is saying is it's giving three options. Option A, always use the server iframe preview. I kind of like that. Lose scroll sync. Oh, okay. It's considering the scroll. Option B, apply the document's theme to the client-side writing preview. Keep the fast incremental preview, but style it with this document's theme CSS. Problem, the theme CSS is written against the markup contract. Interesting. So they're saying, okay, we have a different contract for well, that's bad. Like, we shouldn't have that contract. What is this saying? Okay, B3, use the shadow DOM. Put the preview in a shadow root with the theme CSS inside. Shadow DOM gives perfect style encapsulation. And then the app CSS doesn't leak in. Actually, wait, could the server do the rewrite? No, the theme is stored canonical and shared with the agent. Okay. So this is kind of leaning towards this shadow DOM concept. Option C, keep two previews, make them use the same styles. i.e., extract the theme into the client preview via a style element in the pane. So, okay, it's choosing the shadow DOM. Fine. Shadow DOM sounds fine. Let's check where your local server is pointed at. Oh, yeah, because it's talking to the production B2 bucket. That makes sense then. Not a copy. Edits from your local dev server right to the same bucket production uses. Okay. Versioning on the bucket creates versions, so it's recoverable, but publishing from local would overwrite the live public page. There's no separate dev environment namespace. That's fine. You know what? That's fine for now. It's still text preview split. Let's save reload. Okay. And by the way, we have history, so I can see what changes were made. That's kind of cool. That's before. I've got this CSS or the page, or I can do the split. You know what? I'm starting to like this design versus text thing more than I thought. Whereas here, this is the CSS. I feel like the highlighting is all messed up though. It's actually okay. I feel like the syntax highlighting is messed up here. Actually, you know what? I'll just tell it. Okay, I said it's messed. See, this is why it's good to see the thoughts, because I said messed up, and it's not finding that precise enough. It's saying that's not messed up per se. That's just minimal. And it's okay, actually, I wasn't very precise. Let me see what the CSS editor is actually getting right now. The laser CSS tag vocabulary versus the 2 highlight rules I gave it. I was going to try and take a screenshot and send it over, because we know that Kimi K3 does have a vision encoder, but the problem is that this is running in WSL, and copying it into WSL might be annoying. I'm just going to see if it can figure it out. Now I can see the full tag vocabulary. My editor highlight only covered string, keyword, and comment. And note, comments are block comment, not regular comment. So my comment rule doesn't even fire for CSS. And t-string, CSS strings are t.string, t.keyword moves from selector, scope, match flag. Okay, so it's saying it's figuring out that it's got deficiencies in simple, principled. I don't know. I really like being able to see the thinking. The picture is clear. Laser CSS emits a rich tag vocabulary, and I gave the CSS editor a highlight style with 2 rules that cover almost none of it. So nearly the whole style sheet renders as plain text. It's also using the Prose Sans font, which is wrong for code. The formatter already knew about comments. Sanitizer keeps them now. Okay, so let's go back to our local version. We're going to go to the design. Hey, it's a lot nicer to work with. Styles are a little better now. Let's do the stronger model thing and agent history. These other ones, like maybe that gets solved by the stronger model and the agent history. I think there's a strong possibility. And this overly modal design versus text mode, we can just like come back to that later, because I'm actually starting to feel like it's paying off. Like with design, now you can have the CSS column here, and you can, as you edit the CSS, like for example, max width, let's say 2 EM. See? Like you see it live. That's cool. You see the output, and that's CSS. Whereas with this, it's nice to be able to see like you edit this and you see that live. And it's nice that like I actually am starting to kind of warm up to this idea, because it is a different thing to be thinking about the design versus thinking about the text. So, okay, let's leave that for now. But the two things that I do believe are we could use a stronger model, and that means I'm gonna have to change the provider. And then let's make an agent history. Okay, so I'll say two things. Great. Oh, first let's like, please commit and push. See? Okay, it's doing a good job. It's saying, user said commit and push. Singular commit is fine for a working session like this, though splitting it would be cleaner. This is what I'm talking about. Like, whereas in the past, you would probably have to put that in a skill or in a MD file, like an agents.md file. This is saying like, I'm already got this in my history. I'm going to look at that history. I'm going to notice it, and I'm going to match it. Now, the big question. Yes, it still has the old version. When I republish, now I open it, it has the new version. That's exactly what I wanted. So we're confirming that like the last set of features were actually correctly applied. I'm going to go back into Ubuntu, and we're going to do Pi again. And this time I'm going to switch to DeepSeek V4 0731. Hey, that worked. Actually, I'm pretty happy with the work that Kimi K3 did there. Like, that was a pretty good session so far. Like, there were a few corrections I needed to make, but we were dealing with like complex stuff where CSS, live editing, we wanted to like work on a CSS thing, like this editor over here, which didn't even exist at the beginning of the session. I noticed that things were too compressed and too difficult to understand, so I asked it to prettify it, and it did. It also seems to be doing it live, so that, you know, if we do this, we're seeing this live change. I was able to make some changes, like I got rid of dark mode on this particular thing. So I just confirmed that like changing light mode for this document did not change light mode for this document. Like this document kept its mode. So that's cool. And same with this one, this older published document. That saved its work. So that's cool. What we were talking about before. We need a stronger model and we want agent history. So let's start with the history. Let's say, please understand the agentic sidebar and everything that goes into it. I want you to build up a strong, confident understanding such that you could adeptly handle any request that comes in to modify or change the way it works. Because you have a total understanding of the current way it works and how it fits in with all the other parts of the system. Start with that. So I talked about this before, where especially with these smaller models, it can be useful to just have it, like tell it to explore and build like a specific sub area of where you want it to be highly confident about, and that will help it. Like, it will read the full files, it will read this, like the dependent files, it will build up a good understanding, and then once you do that, then you can guide it to where you want to go. This is not something you have to do for every model, especially the biggest models. You can kind of just like give it the task and let it figure it out. But I find that as you go smaller and smaller with the models, this step can help more and more. Look at the price we're looking at here. 0.008. We're less than a cent. We'll see what the quality difference is here. Like, K3 is clearly going to be a bigger model. It's a bigger model, a better model, but DeepSeek V4 Flash 0731, this model is super cheap. Okay, so it's cool. We're still seeing the thought, even though this is a different model. This is that DeepSeek V4 Flash. We're still seeing the thoughts. Let me take a look at a few more things. The store, the render, the Kate set deployment, maybe the README. Check out preview.ts works. Check editor setup.ts, keymap.ts to understand the sidebar triggers. Since the user has asked me to build a strong, confident, complete understanding, let me summarize it. This is kind of like it distilling. It's distilling itself down so that this is the thing it's going to reference for the most part in future. This is part of it. It's like having it do the exploration is one thing, but then naturally, I don't know if it's naturally or if it's through the training data, it summarizes everything that it found and learned. And then this summary ends up being a critical message. So it's confident. It's got enough. It's got the UI, the wire, the server route, the agent, the theme, the config info, the test. Okay, here's the thing. The agent conversations right now are completely ephemeral. If I click, that old chat is gone forever. This has worked fine up until now, but does not suffice anymore. We must build a solution such that we can go back and resume an older conversation from exactly where we were. I want you to store the conversations in that same bucket in a subdir next to the document, so that for each document there is a separate list of agent conversations, which then we need to add UI for the user to select and resume. I don't want you to store any state besides cache, potentially, on the server or in any database. The source of truth should be what's stored in those buckets. I want you to continue to use Pi as the coding agent. Be sure that the UI that you build to support this is extremely high quality, not bolted. I'm going to start with just like conversation history. But I think what I really mean is that I want model choice. Like, I want there to be a drop down and model configuration. And then it's going to make it a little bit harder, because even when you like load up a previous session, like I want it to load up that model, but then I want you to be able to select and choose a stronger model and then resume the conversation from there. So, let's do these things. Luna, K3, and DeepSeek V4 Flash. I haven't tried Inkling Small because it is a weaker model and it's about the same price as this. We can try it later, but okay. So what's this doing here? Wow, a lot of thinking. It's trying to say, hey, do we need to store the raw Pi session JSON? I mean, for me, that's just obvious. Yes, like we should. But this con is true. The session JSON is Pi's internal format. It may be large. It may contain API responses and thinking. It's not a great format for listing conversations. The server would have to parse it to get titles, but actually Pi's session format might. I do think I would do this. I would store the raw Pi session JSON. If let's see if it comes to that same conclusion. But I don't want to create one thing and then like a source of truth and then a derived version. I want like the server to just load up the source of truth and maybe on the fly dynamically provide the revised version. It's going to store both, it seems. I don't really see the need for this transcript.json. It's figuring it out. I'll just keep letting it go. Ooh, we're at 3 cents now. 3 cents for this session. I don't know if I can afford that. This was significant. $11.08 and 80 cents is not trivial for that amount. All I did was the CSS change. And while that was a big feature that was added, I mean, like, and I did have to steer it a few times, that's not insignificant. If I was doing all my work on that every day, all day, every day, that would add up. Whereas with this, I think I have a lot more confidence that this would stay as a low-cost option. Once we have that merged, I was talking about how I want a model switcher. Now that we have agent history and we can switch between past and future sessions and past sessions or create a new one, I would like us to add a new feature, model selector. Right now, we only have Grok as a model provider, but that is not sufficient for the work that we're going to do going forward. I don't want to remove Grok and GPT OSS 120B as an option. A, I don't want it to be the default anymore. And B, I want to be able to select from a set of pre-approved provider model pairs that can be used for different tasks. Here are the model provider pairs that I would like to be able to select from. I would like control over the configuration in the code. The user will just see the model name. The display should show on the right sidebar and be available at any time for design mode, text mode, and even once you've loaded a past conversation. When you load a previous conversation, it should definitely automatically select the model that was last used in that conversation. But if you switch models, any messages going forward should use that new model. And let's take a quick look. Oh, it already pushed it. Model selector, a drop-down in the agent panel, always visible, list view, thread view, and text design targets. How it works. Code-controlled registry in server source agent models. That's exactly what I wanted. The 4 pairs you specified with pretty labels. The client sees only the label. The server resolves the ID back to the provider model API key thinking and passes them to Pi explicitly through model. Okay. Verified working. I ran all 4 pairs against the real providers. Great. Per conversation memory. The model is recorded as per turn in the transcript. Resuming conversation auto selects its last used model. Switching models affects only new turns. Every load prefills in the conversation's model. Old conversations without a recorded model fall back to the default. Perfect. GPT OSS 120B kept as an option, no longer the default. We deployed a new secret. Perfect. It's got OpenAI together, fireworks, and keeps Grok. Config map is updated with the obsolete provider and model, which was like a singleton. The Docker file pins Pi to 83. And Claude.md was updated. That sounds great. I'll try it locally first. This is my local. So hey, it looks like it's got like, why did it load? I guess I told it the new default should be that. It's okay, it didn't save those things before. I'm not too worried that it didn't load the right model first because I told it that I want the DeepSeek V4 Flash to be the new default, and it wasn't recording these things in the previous ones. So it's already better than before. But I'm gonna undo that. Let's try it, GPT-5.4 Luna. Same 6 sections, but now each one has its own link sublist. Okay, so that's cool. Let's see. Everything looks great, but unfortunately, the OpenAI model didn't work properly. Is there possibly a misconfiguration? I did say 5.4 Luna. That was my bad. You're right on both counts. The ID is wrong and my earlier verification was too shallow. Very nice. Okay. So while that's going, it's going to update the command. It shouldn't take too much. This is cool. This was a very cool implementation. Fixed and pushed the misconfiguration. It had GPT-5.4 Luna, which doesn't exist. When I click around to different conversations, chats, it isn't automatically switching my model selector like I would expect it to. Maybe I just need to reload, force reload. I think it's because for the old chats that don't have model information saved, it's not treating that as GPT OSS 120B. It's just not setting the model. So when I switch to the new one with the new model, it changes. When I go to the old ones, it doesn't change back. We need to default all old chats to GPT OSS 120B. I think that's going to be the solution there. I'm going to pick 5.6 Luna. Give me some suggestions on what other topics I could include. Suggest them as big diffs. Hey, it did. Let's see what this looks like. Kind of cool. But no, I don't want to keep it. I'll decline and save. But okay, now if we go back to here, Kimi K3, if we go to here, GPT 5.6 Luna. If we go back here, GPT OSS. That's what we wanted. So we're getting it. No, it's kind of nice how it highlights the last thing you did too. Oh, we got deletes. What happens if I like, oh, undo? That's cool. There's an undo. I was thinking there should be confirmation, but I prefer undo. This is done compiling. It's done CI, push to CI. So I think all I have to do now is run the rollout. Now we're going to go back to neural column production. The August 8th one was the one I was looking at before. And look, the conversations that I persisted here locally, like they were all, it was speaking to this bucket up here and persisting it. So we got it. This is great. It's storing in B2. So check it out. This is my neural column bucket. I've got posts. These are the various different posts. You can see like some of them have had a bunch of different revisions. You can see like this one had 6 different revisions. This one had 15. Okay, so this is our post. We can see we can download it. And if you look at the page source, we're embedding all of the styles in there. And that's how like when we're editing the CSS and we save it, it goes in there. So that's cool. When I was showing this P, these are published. So these were all the different published versions. These are the source ones. And so this is I'm a user U2T3. We've got this bucket for here for 802. If we look at the body, this is like the original Kiln, like this right here. This is the body of it. This is the chat. We've got chats now. And we've got the Pi session and the transcript. And the transcript is nicely being versioned. The Pi session, surprised it isn't being versioned. Seems like it's probably being swapped each time, actually. But let's see. Yeah, no, that's being versioned as well. And so each one, this is a Pi session you could load up in your local Pi, probably. That's cool. So we did styles. We improved that by a lot. Diffs, not applying, we seem to not have that problem. This seems to be better than what I thought. We could use a stronger model. We actually are doing better on this. I saw earlier that the extension, there was an extension, and so we need to like investigate that and make sure it's good. But I'm changing my mind on some of this. On this one, as I went in, I had this idea, but as we developed it out, the design mode separation seems kind of good. Needs more help and guidance. We didn't do this. We'll do these later probably. Text preview style. This doesn't seem to be a thing. Visual design could still use some work. So the only two things we did were we improved styles, and then we improved the model, and we gave it a stronger model and gave it a model selector, and then we gave it history, so you can go back and see previous versions. So this is all that we did. Oh, I wanted to show, this was the last thing I wanted to do. So I think that you have enough information to know about, so we're done with neural column for today. This was fun. This was cool. I think we found the limitations of DeepSeek V4 Flash, the new version. I think what we found out is that past some longer context window, once we got to like 30% through, it started losing its ability, and it kept stopping before running tool calls. It would say, I'm about to do this tool call, and then just never did. So that's something that we should probably just keep in mind as we get longer and longer contexts, that the DeepSeek V4 Flash seems to want to sit in a smaller portion of the context, which is something that has happened with previous smaller models. Seems like the bigger models have less of a hard time with that. So we had to switch to Kimi K3, which is a bigger model. But we also paid $10. In addition to the 11 before, we spent about $20 on this session today. And we really only accomplished two things. But imagine if we had used Claude Fable or Opus 5 or something like that. We're saving a lot by using these already. And if you were paying an actual developer, it would be even a lot more than that. I charge more than that for my time, at least.